Hey everyone, hope you guys are doing amazing. I will not be very long, hopefully. But today I wanted to talk about responsibility.
Responsibilities?
Yes, responsibility. So a lot of times we look at things and we forget to take an account of our level of responsibility. And I guess I've seen it so much lately that I realized that this is a major area for a lot of people. And I was looking at a guy that I really, really love listening to, business guru guy, and he's a minister. But he says the only difference between children and adults is responsibility. And you see that a lot of adults don't like to take responsibility for their actions, for the motives behind their actions. And it just ends up being a big mess for everybody that's involved. Okay, so like, I give you an example. When I was younger, I got pregnant when I was 16. And then I felt like, with my 16-year-old mind, like, man, life is so hard. It shouldn't be this hard. Okay, I was 16. I did not count up the cost. I didn't count up the cost. It wasn't like I was trying to get pregnant, but I'm like, hey, man, you out there doing what people do to get pregnant, okay? But I didn't count up the cost, okay? So my thinking was only for what I wanted at the time. And so if any of you know my testimony, you know that that's what I thought I needed to do for my boyfriend. And when you don't have a father, you're like, look, I gotta do what I gotta do to keep this man in my life. Okay, that was what I was thinking. I was 16. Like, you ain't never made no bad decisions before. But anyways, so I wasn't thinking of everything that could happen. I heard people say it, but I didn't care. That wasn't my thought. And so I realized a little while after I had my boy, whom I love dearly, and he's grown up to be amazing. Praise Yahuwah. But I realized that I just wasn't responsible for how hard I had made my life. Now, I quickly, responsibility straight up came, and I was grateful. I wasn't super responsible with my money, and I attributed that to being poor and having a poverty mindset. And so those things usually go together. But then you can have a poverty mindset and be rich, but you won't stay rich. But that's neither here nor there. So, but I finally learned, like, okay, you don't have to be where you are. And that's when I kind of just got, got my head on straight and just started to do whatever it was that needed to be done. One time I was working like 2 jobs and going to school. And then when I started it was MCG then. I did what I needed to do. Finally graduated because people were like, oh, you must be going to be a doctor. It's taking you so long. I was like, man, I didn't have it together. And you ain't got no doctorate either. And ain't even been to school. But sorry. I'm back. But I finally realized that, a lot of the areas in my life where I came short it was just me. I was just out here not thinking properly, not counting up the cost, and just kind of just living life like, now listen, and I'm going to talk about the mindset of poverty, but it really is I could be running out of time. I don't know. So I'm just going to live for this day. And that's never a wise way to live. It's not. And I guess sometimes it's like you don't want to spend the entirety of your life preparing for tomorrow without experiencing today. But don't just be living for the day like tomorrow ain't coming. That's what I'm saying. But a lot of times we have people that will just say, well, they did me wrong, or they didn't do this for me, and that's why I behave this way. I didn't have this growing up, and that's why I behave this way. And some of that stuff really isn't your fault. But listen, once you get past the age of 21, and I give you 21, even though I know that 20s is just really a difficult time, but now it's time to start breaking down, okay, what decisions have I made? What have those decisions got me? And then, okay, what can I learn from those? As opposed to saying, well, I just didn't have a father. My mother didn't treat me right. This, that, and the other, because those issues ain't going nowhere. They're going to show up. And then if you're not able to look at yourself and correct yourself, it's going to look like an attack when someone else says, hey, you could probably work on that, right? But we can't be up here like the Rugrats talking about, I don't want a responsibility. That was so cute, wasn't it? But sometimes, I promise you, that's what we sound like when we're adults and not wanting to be responsible. Why are you still bad with money? And you in your late 30s? Okay, because we learned back in our 20s. Amen. Look here. Yes, you can let the cable bill get 2 months past due. But do we want to do that? No, we don't. We can let, or that there was this trick that somebody told me about one time. It was like, look, all you need is $1 on your debit card. Go and fill your tank up. Just let your account be overdrawn. I'm like, I don't want to do that. I don't want the account to be overdrawn. But listen, a lot of times, times are hard. Okay, I get it. They are. But we don't want to stay in the times are hard. You can always do something. And a lot of that starts with changing the way you think. So, all right. At the end of this video, I want you to know it is not always somebody else's fault. Sometimes it's you. Sometimes you're being raggedy. And as soon as you figure that out, I'm telling you, everything's just going to start falling into place. Right? Because once I take my eyes off everyone else, like, listen, there's a lot of people in this world. If I got to sit and examine all of them, I won't have time to work on me. So I just say, okay, what can I do? What have I done? What can I do differently now? And what can I do to prepare myself for tomorrow? Okay? It's not everybody else's fault. But I love you, okay? I love you. Bye.